All right, well, good morning. On behalf of the investor members of the Lakeland Chamber of Commerce, we welcome you to the candidate forum for the Lakeland City Commission seat for the Southeast District D. My name is William Roll, and I serve as the Vice Chair of Advocacy for the Chamber. The decisions made and policies created by the City Commission impact every resident in the area and the health of the business community. Those decisions impact our ability to attract and retain qualified employees in the area, promote business expansion, and attract new businesses. When the city works in concert with other stakeholders and partners, including the Lakeland Chamber of Commerce, we all benefit. So we truly do welcome the four of you to participate in the forum today. Just a few instructions. We will begin with self-introductions of 90 seconds. And then questions that we have today were submitted by members of the business community. You will have 90 seconds to answer the questions, and you will be provided a timer to help keep you advised in terms of how much time you have left. And each of you will have an opportunity to answer each of the questions that's provided. We will begin the questions and introduction alphabetically, but then we're going to kind of mix it up so that we don't always have the same person going first and the same person going last, and try and give you all an opportunity to field the question first. And so with that, we'd like to open it up to a brief introduction. Steve, you get to go first.
Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Frankenberger. I've lived, worked, and raised a family in Lakeland for 36 years. I'm a department manager with public supermarkets, and during that time, I have extensive training in leadership, project management, budgeting skills. I'm deeply dedicated to this community. I've been involved in many philanthropic projects, community service events. My wife Patty, that this year will be celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary. She works for a not-for-profit, March of Dimes. We've been involved with that program for, probably into 30 years now. My daughter goes to McKeel Academy. My son is a graduate of Lakeland High School and the Air Force Academy. Now he's a captain in the Air Force. I have a fresh perspective on the City Commission. I want to make sure I listen to all Lakelanders and be your voice. I'll make responsible decisions for the business community and for economic growth, residential prosperity. I'm going to be an advocate for reducing our environmental footprint, our carbon footprint, and also a champion of our vibrant art community. Our environment of art and how we can retain people is very important. And thank you very much. And I hope that I can earn your vote on April 6th. Thank you very much.
Mike, you're next.
Hello, group. This is Mike Musick. I own a company here in town that for the last 20 plus years, Musick Construction and Roofing. I know what it's like to make a budget, live in a budget, hire, fire, make tough calls, and I want to bring that experience to the City Commission. As an advocate for growth and development, I think that it is important that we take a long-term strategic plan of where we want to be in the next 25 years, set up budgets, and hit that. My wife is a professor at Southeastern University. We've got 3 kids who are all in college. I've lived here in Lakeland for 42 years. And this is just an absolutely wonderful town. What we need on the City Commission is somebody who knows how to make tough calls, somebody who can be fair, but at the end of the day can look at a budget, evaluate if we have the money for it. If we do, and it's something that the citizens want, that we're clear, that we're upfront, and we're transparent with them, then that's the direction that we should go. And I'm going to fight to lead that charge. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. And then Ken, you're next.
Good morning, my name is Ken Post. I am a homeowner in Lakeland for 20 years. My extended family has lived in Lakeland for up to 30 years, sisters and parents. And I recently relocated to Lakeland with my family. My wife, Teresita, works for Waimama Farm Ministries. It's a food bank type of ministry with helps the farm workers over in the Tampa Bay area. I have extensive experience in budget management, facilities, human resources, and project management. My last job where I was in New Jersey, the shining crown of my experience up there at the retirement center was building a 240-seat theater with all the bells and whistles, and finished that up in the summer of 2019. To finish that job, I was commuting back and forth here from New Jersey from Jersey to Florida for 4 months as a dedication that I had to finishing that project. I believe I have skills and the ability to work with the city and help manage the $600 million budget, as I've spent many years working on budgets of extensive size. I have 4 daughters, and I don't see a timer. Are we close?
You're a little over time, so thank you.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, thank you.
All right, Dr. Terrell.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Shandale Terrell, and I have a passion and dedication to provide the City of Lakeland opportunities to succeed with expanding business community, good living wage, paying jobs, a safe place to live, and educated workforce. I was born and raised in Lakeland, here in Lakeland. I attended Oscar J. Polk Elementary School, Crystal A. Junior High School, and a graduate from Lakeland Senior High School. Played football for Lakeland Senior High School, where I earned the athletic scholarship to Auburn University because my parents didn't have the funds to send me to college. I was there at Auburn for 2 years, diagnosed with a pinched nerve, transferred to Florida Agricultural Mechanical University, commonly known as Florida A&M University, where I earned a Bachelor of Science degree in education. Also earned a Master of Science degree in education from Nova Southeastern University in Educational Leadership, and a doctoral degree in education with a concentration in higher educational leadership with a minor degree in urban education from Nova Southeastern University. In my experiences with the City of Lakeland, I served on the City of Lakeland Citizens Advisory Committee as a committee member and the chairman. I also served on the City of Lakeland Citizens Advisory Budget Committee. I served on the City of Lakeland Police Youth Athletic League Board of Directors, working with our inner city youth and the Lakeland Urban Core. And I currently serve on the City of Lakeland Gang Task Force Committee. And I also serve on the City of Lakeland Police Citizens Advisory Board as the chairman. And those are the experiences that I have within the City of Lakeland Commission. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We will now begin with the question and responses. The first question is, what is your motivation to serve as a City of Lakeland Commissioner? And Mr. Frankenberger, you get to go first.
Okay, so 36 years ago, I saw this tremendous growth happening and how the city did a very good job of getting us where we are today. I want to keep that momentum going, but I want to do that through everyone in the city having input on that. I will make those responsible decisions. I want to make the decisions that allow for business, economic growth. I want to be preservation of our Lakeland's natural resources, and be an advocate for the art community. So getting the city progressing in the way it's been, but also including the fantastic residents that we have here and retaining those residents to giving them an environment that they enjoy being part of and a city they can be very proud of, and taking ownership of my time with Publix and ownership shows that you really have an ownership in our city with our utilities departments, and it's just a great town to be in. And I want to keep that motivation happening, and I want to be part of that and be the voice for everybody. Thank you.
Mr. Musick.
Thank you very much, William. So the motivation is relatively simple, and that is that it's important. We have an amazing city that has a lot to offer to anybody that's moving down. And in this current climate, we are seeing a tremendous amount of relocation to not only Florida, but Central Florida and the I-4 corridor. As we look at things that are coming up, right, we've got an aging electric system. We've got some broadband that we're considering how we're going to handle that. We've got a wonderful, wonderful place to live and raise kids. And as the next generation behind us come, I want to be there to have a conservative, strong leadership voice for Lakeland. There's things that pop up all the time that we hear about as the information trickles out. It is important that when a topic comes up, that the information is disseminated, it's out to the city, and that we have a transparent approach so that when we're making decisions, it's not just a group of 7, but it's backed by the knowledge and the will of the city. And that's my motivation for running. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Post.
Thank you. Motivation for running for commissioner stems from when I moved here 2 years ago and just learning about the city and learning about all of the things it has to offer. I've grown have a deep love for this city, and I see potential to continue growing and increasing the effectiveness of the city for the residents. The art scene has been very good for many in the city. I think we can expand that to encompass all of Lakeland and all those who are interested in the arts. We have this new murals coming up on the South Florida. I think it's going to enhance the city in an immense way. And to be part of all of that is going on, and to be helping making the decisions is a passion. It's something that you look at and you say, I could really enjoy being part of that whole process. And then keeping the residents engaged. Having been at a health center for many years, we did surveys every year. And I think one of the things we need to do is increase the communication between the residents and the city, as we can reach out to them through the surveys and encourage them to fill out the surveys, so we can get their input and know that we're going in the right direction to fulfill the needs of all of our city's residents. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Terrell.
Yes, sir. What motivates me being born and raised here? I remember when downtown Lakeland was very dormant at a young age, and I watched the transformation over the years growing up here, and just being a part of that, living here. I really enjoyed viewing the transformations, and I just wanted to know at a young age what caused that. So I got very involved in the community, and then I started being involved in the boards and committees within the City of Lakeland, because they teach you the internal and external functions within the City of Lakeland. So that's very important to me, and that's my motivation. Thank you. All
right, thank you very much. So the next question is, how should the city attract new businesses? What type of incentives should be considered? And Mr. Musick, you go first.
Thank you. So really, I look at that as two separate parts of the same stick there, and one is how do we draw them, and two, the incentives. The incentives are one of those things that we've got to be a little bit careful with, because what we want to do is we want to be able to draw them, but we do not want to give away the farm to be able to do that. So looking back at the things that we have to offer, obviously our Parks and Rec is one of the crowning jewels of our city. Our temperature here is where people want to be, right? I mean, people are already wanting to move to Central Florida. We are beautiful. An hour in each direction of where we live, you can head to the beach. So getting people to come here and realize that Lakeland is a place that they want to set up is relatively a no-brainer. So then you go back to, what do we incentivize? And there's only a few things that we have to incentivize, right? If we have property, if we have land, do we give it to them, right? Do we have a reduction in the fees and the permits and impact costs to be able to do that? And I would say that we have got to be careful how much we give away to draw. But what we do need to do is have enough of a carrot out there that they want to come, but we have to educate our people to have staff that they can go and have a job that they can go after. And in order to do that, we need to have educated people.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Post.
Could you repeat that question, please?
Yes, how should the city attract new businesses? What type of incentives should be considered?
Okay, I believe right now we have incentives in place for new businesses, for small businesses, and I think we should continue that, working through the different departments within the city. I think we need to encourage new business as they do come in to build in places where infrastructure already exists to help reduce the expenses as you're building places. If we build where we have the infrastructure, the cost of developing is less. And I think as we promote Lakeland and all Lakeland has to offer, it becomes a very attractive place for businesses to relocate. That is partially how I ended up here. My brother-in-law was working for a company in New Jersey back in the 90s, and they relocated to Lakeland. And slowly the family continued to move down here. So businesses do see it as a place where they can set up and they can be economically viable because there are certainly lower costs in the Florida area than there is in different parts of the country as the Northeast or Chicago and California areas. So we have to build on those and to attract the businesses in that manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Terrell.
Yes, sir. Bringing new businesses here. I believe the new businesses will be attracted to the city of Lakeland because the millage rate, low taxes, in addition to the parks, which have great property value. But the incentives, I believe the incentives should go to the current businesses that we have now, the weight of the incentives. That's my take on it. There should be some type of implementation of an incentive, but the incentive should go to our current local businesses who are here right now. But as far as bringing new businesses here, again, it's all according to the need. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Frankenberger.
Yeah, I guess the number one concern people have is, wow, Lakeland's growing really fast. So offering incentives to businesses, sure, it's important. You want to give them some breaks to bring in the extra tax dollars, employment, higher paying skilled jobs, things like that. But we have to be careful and not involve just because a business wants to come here, we can't throw everything at them and say, yes, we want you. We can cherry pick those businesses that we want to come here. We've got districts already in place for technology districts that are out near Polytech, or the manufacturing district, which is over off of George Jenkins, Wabash area, where the infrastructure is already in place and we can attract businesses for those different district areas. Offering incentives, though, just to everybody out there, not a good idea. I think we definitely are at a position with what we have offered the state of Florida and for people coming here that we have the environment in place right now to really pick and choose who we want to come and how they will benefit us as much as we could probably benefit them through any kind of incentives. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our third question is, what can the city of Lakeland do to attract and retain vibrant and talented workforce? And Mr. Post, you get to go first.
So one of the things we have to look at as we're trying to attract the workforce are the benefits and flexibility. So as companies come here and companies offer high-tech, high-paying jobs, the new workforce is looking for flexibility. The other thing that we have is that the year we just went through, we've seen that calls just like this, Zoom calls, working from home, working remotely, is attractive to many companies as well as many of the employees. So along with attracting talented workforce, it's letting them know that they can live and work from home right here in Lakeland and work wherever they need to be. Professional development, we need to offer some kind of professional development so that as they're growing in their businesses and in their places of work, they have opportunities to advance. And we need to have open communication with everybody so that we have bi-directional communication. so that those employees can communicate well with their businesses and the businesses with the city, so that everybody's on the same page as far as what are the goals, what are the things that we're trying to achieve in the city of Lakeland. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Terrell.
Yes, we have 4 major institutions of higher education here. As far as retaining the workforce here, we have Florida Southern College, Southeast University, Post State College Lakeland, and Florida Polytechnic. So we have to reach out to those institutions of higher education, in addition to their graduates, to let them know the quality of life here in Lakeland, the stability here in Lakeland, the educational programs as far as K-12 schools that we have here in Lakeland, the academies that we have here in Lakeland, and the residential areas that we have here in Lakeland as far as raising a family. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Frankenberger.
All right, I want to play a little game here. So everybody that's on the Zoom call or will watch this later, basically think about where you are today. Are you in your office? Are you in your home? Are you in a coffee shop somewhere else? But then if you close your eyes and say, where do I want to be? Where do I want to be in Hawaii? Do I want to be in Paris? Today's workforce can work remote in a lot more areas than we ever saw a year ago. So our city, what we need to do to retain these folks, let's see how we want to get them to live here. So we've got to offer outstanding services, technology, infrastructure, captivating spaces for them to hang out, for people to go to. Our parks and our rec, our golf course, all need to meet the needs and the demands of a more skilled workforce, talented workforce, and offering, the arts and the culture, different plays that they can go to. And then we've got our taxes too, keep our taxes at a low base. And then our housing prices, I know everybody wants to see our housing prices go up, but in the world of Tampa and Orlando, our housing prices have always been less than those areas, and that's fine. But we offer some fantastic and keeping our environment to a very friendly atmosphere for everybody, and they'll be happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Musick.
So keeping a talented workforce here, and I would echo what Dr. Terrell said. We really have a great base of education, and so to keep these kids here as they graduate and having a strong place that offers high wages is important. But even before that, right? Then we've got to look at the infrastructure part, the city itself, right? It needs to continue to be a place that is safe. It needs to continue to be a place where the taxes are low. We've got to continue to offer and expand our experiences, right? We've got Bonnet Springs. We've got some of these amazing things that are coming up. We've got to draw people to that. The wages have got to be strong, right? We're having an issue right now with our police force, right? We are $6,000 to $8,000 less starting salary than they are in Tampa. So we've got to make that more equitable. We've got to make sure that the people here like myself that are small business owners, that we're competing, and we're competing well with the other organizations that are out there, so that we can attract the strong people. And we do that with growth potential, right? We all want to be farther along the road in a couple of years than we are now. And we do that by a holistic approach. It isn't just one thing that's going to be able to get us there. It's going to be many things, but we've got to start with a good, safe place to live that's economically viable. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4. In your opinion, how should the city address the continuing discussion of the digital divide? And that includes broadband or other related issues. And Dr. Terrell, you get to go first.
Yes, I believe that discussion is taking place. They had a community forums, say about 2 or 3 months ago, with social distance in place. So I believe the digital divide is decreasing, but it's just started pretty much this year within the city of Lakeland. So the implementation of broadband and residents who can use that broadband for free is taking place right now as we speak. It's probably going to be a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 completion phase, but it's a good thing that it was heightened last year, brought forth. The form was implemented this past year and this year. And I believe the City of Lakeland Commission is doing a great job to narrow that, the digital divide, which is very important. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Frankenberger.
Yeah, so we need to get a great understanding of what that digital divide is. What is our population, and what, how many citizens are here, and then what is their access? How many people don't have access? I'm not so sure we know a number for that. We do know that there is definitely a digital divide. We need to be an all-inclusive community, especially with education the way it is today. We cannot allow our students that are remote learning, and this is going to be our future in a lot of areas, that they have access to a good digital system, whether it's their computers, the internet, whatever it may be. We've got to not have any barriers there for education or learning. And that's just not our kids in middle school or grade school. This is also for adults, adult education. Maybe it's just watching some videos on how to fix something or create something, or maybe learn a new trade. It's very, very important that we get a good handle on this, and the city creates an atmosphere to close that gap so everybody has access to good quality internet. And whether that's a private run operation or a city run, it's all up for debate, and I'm willing to hear everybody's concerns about that. Thank you.
Mr. Musick.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to echo a little bit of what Steve said. Really, we've got to start with the numbers, right? We've got to know, where is that digital divide sit? What are the number of people that are not having access or good high-speed access to that, and start with there. Without that, it's just a word. It's just something that is kind of following a national narrative, and we want to be careful with that. Fortunately, we have Surf Lakeland. We've got a bunch of spots that are out there right now where there's wireless available. And if nothing else, this COVID has shown us that there is a need for a good, safe, secure competition in the broadband, wireless, and internet service providers. So I hope that we see that. I don't know that I would like to see it be a specific government-led organization or corporation. I'd like to see it brought in with public and private organizations together, working in tandem with the knowledge that we find out as to where the need is. We don't want to just have a blanket statement that everybody needs to have this and have it for free, because way too often people do not appreciate things that they don't pay for and have a vested interest in. So we want to be very specific in targeting who are the highest needs, where are they located, and how can we service them. But I think that it's certainly something we could do, and I'd love to see private industry getting involved with that as well.
Can I make a quick statement? Public and private sector organizations are working on the digital divide. The major areas that it's affecting is the north area of Lakeland. That's where the numbers are as far as the digital divide is taking place. So again, the forums were implemented in 2000. They had 2 forums last year, 1 this past year. So I believe action is taking place within the city of Lakeland. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Post.
Thank you. So when I think of the digital divide, I think of various aspects of it: access to high-speed internet, learning how to use it, learning how to use the technology. And I think what we've learned this past year is that there were quite a few areas in Lakeland that had access problems. Through the Polk County School, they set up buses in different neighborhoods around the city to get the access to those kids in those neighborhoods. So I think our best sorry, somebody's got something on there. Our best bet is to reach out to Polk County Schools and say, share with us where you put these buses so that we know as a city where we need to improve, because they clearly knew where there was a deficit. And now we have that data that we can get from them and help us to better implement digital networks around our city. The other thing we need to do is encourage people to learn. There are many programs out there where you can learn how to use different programs, how to use the internet, how to use it for your benefit. I think we have many generations in our city. The older generations, how much do they know about running on Zoom? How do they know how to access a Zoom account, how to get connected with their friends and family? So those kind of things we need to teach them. So we need to have avenues that we can use and teach our residents about the different features that are out there. LinkedIn has a nice program called Linda, where you can learn all kinds of programs for free. So those are things that we should be sharing with our residents and letting them know that there are those platforms out there. Thank you.
Mr. Post. The fifth question, the current city commission has seen residential development opposed in several commission meetings recently. How would you approach decisions involving land use and development? Mr. Frankenberger, you get to go first.
Right. So one that comes to my mind right off the bat is Carlin Lakes, right there on Airport Road. That undeveloped area in front of their neighborhood. We know we have a neighborhood of 600 homes in there that it was zoned originally for retail. They rezoned it, and the citizens were acceptable of 150 townhomes. Then a developer came in later and wanted 300 apartments. They had a huge meeting, a lot of people, a lot of conversation. They were very much against it, and it was still approved. Felt a little unease that our commission did approve that. I don't know what was happening behind the scenes, but I definitely want to listen to everybody and find out why an undeveloped area that is approved for 150.
Looks like we just lost Steve, and so Mr. Musick, why don't you go ahead and go, and we'll come back to Steve.
Okay, would you mind repeating the question just so that I can have the specifics there?
Absolutely. The current city commission has seen residential development recently opposed in several commission meetings. How would you approach decisions involving land use and development?
Okay, so certainly, we're talking, the question is specifically residential. So we know that people are moving in here, and they're moving here in great numbers, and we know that in Florida, in Central Florida specifically, right, we've got a three-legged economic stool, right? We've got tourism, we've got real estate transactions, and we've got construction, and two of those piggyback very well off of each other. So it's important that we have enough land that goes through the proper channels to get developed to be able to support the homes and the individuals as they move here. What we do have to be careful with is just having a blanket statement of saying, hey, here's a big chunk of earth, let's make it a development. I do know, though, being in the construction industry, I'm not a developer, but I do know that being in the construction industry, there's a lot of hoops that are jumped through, both with the environmental studies that have to be done and Swift Mud with DOT. A lot of stuff is done ahead of time before you can even get things approved. I don't know that I'm a big fan of, as Steve was saying before, he had some technical issues there, was it needs to be transparent. If we're going to take something and we're going to change it, it's important that it goes out to everybody, and the people who are most impacted definitely need to be there and have a voice, and I would be for that. But I certainly think that we do need to access the growing economy and people here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Musick. Mr. Frankenberger, are you back online with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what happened. Solar flares. I don't know. So, just to pick up where I left off, Carlin Lakes, talking about the community, the development. There's some there's growth going on that is not being positioned in a place where it's responsible growth. You know, making sure that infrastructure is there, making sure that the community is acceptable of it. And I know we need more housing, more apartments for the amount of businesses we're bringing in, but we definitely got to listen to the residents. And if that Clarion Lakes thing, you know, they're going to be using their entrance of 300 apartments. I definitely would have looked at that differently. So I guess the question, if I don't really remember where you guys dropped, or I got dropped from, but as far as development of residential commercial growth, we need to be focused on that growth in those areas and listening to the people. They know best, and they live in these neighborhoods. They live, whether it's in Northwest Lakeland or Southeast Lakeland, they know, and we need to listen to everybody before we make unplanned decisions or decisions that don't meet the environment that they live in, and then be respectful of that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Post, you're next.
So the question is about future development, or
how would you approach decisions involving land use and development?
Okay, so one of the things that the city has put together so far is they have a 2030 official future land use map. It outlines the projected use of land throughout the city of Lakeland. It's not cut in stone, but it does give us an idea of what we're thinking of using the land for in the future. I think anytime we're going to make a change, it definitely needs to be in the public forum, and notice needs to go out, which has happened. And then, like the change that we are all hearing about, it's something that those residents, I believe, are contacting all of us, asking us what do we think about that change that the commission just did. I too agree that because we don't know all of the information, it's hard for us to say whether or not we would have approved that change. But I think on the surface, it should have stayed at the 150 unit level because that's quite a few houses in that condensed area. So that's one of the things that, as I look at future development and how we develop, are we allowing for enough open space around all of these communities? And we need to be sure that we do have the open space for each of the communities that we do build in the future. So how many units should we put on an acre? Those are questions that I think we need to revisit and maybe come with some new guidelines for the future development of Lakeland. Thank you.
Dr. Terrell, you get to wrap up this question.
Yes, sir. When it comes to development, developing land, I think it's very important that we analyze the area, seeing if there's a need there, and then we convey that information to the residents there to let them know what will possibly take place in the near future, and make sure we have their input, which is very important, because their buy-in is very important, because if this redevelopment is taking place in that area, they need to know about it in advance, just in case if they approve or disapprove, they can adjust or make adjustments and so forth within their environment, within their place of living. So I believe that as far as developing land, it's very important that we do it strategically. It's very important that we analyze the area, and if there's a need for it, you know, we shouldn't just be redeveloping just to redevelop. We just have to make sure there's a need, and then get the buy-in from the residents there. Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, our next question is one that I believe you all have an answer to. It's about a roadway project. So maybe just get in your mind what the question might be. If you're ready for it, here you go. The South Florida Avenue Road Diet in Dixieland has been a topic of conversation. What are your thoughts on the project? Mr. Musick, you get to go first.
Starts with me. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it needs to go. I've talked to, I'm sure, hundreds. I don't think it's been up to 1,000 yet, but I'll guarantee it's close, of citizens that have asked me or given me their opinion. And I have had one individual that had something positive to say about that. I've got friends and family that live right at the cusp of where that diet starts on Palmala, and it's been absolutely a nightmare and miserable for them. I've got friends that work at the city in the engineering department that have a direct oversee of this property, of this issue, and they avoid that road. What we're seeing is an unintended consequence that I'm sure they knew was coming, that they were hoping over this study time would go away, and that's the diversion of the traffic. They're hoping that the traffic would go and hit either Hallam or 98 and people would use that and bypass. But what we're finding is that people are using all of the residential cut through roads. And that's just a big deal. I commend them for trying. I do. I think that the city asked the DOT to do a study. They did a study. We're doing a test, and the test failed, and that's okay. But what we need to do is we need to acknowledge that it didn't work, and we need to roll it back, remove the bumpers, and get back to the way that it was. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Post.
The way that it was. Okay, so I'm not sure the way that it was safe. I think that's why this whole plan was put into place. I know that my daughters, before the road was narrowed, they avoided that area because it was so tight with the 4 lanes and trying to drive up and down that section. There were many accidents in that section prior to trying this new approach. So I think we need to look at it more of in a positive aspect and say, okay, what can we do to keep this whole area safe? What can we do to enhance the area? And I think there are plans in the works that are going to do that. The murals on that street are going to change the whole atmosphere. When those divider pieces go in and they do something more permanent, which I believe they are going to do. I'm not sure this is going to go back in the other direction. I could be wrong, but I do believe it's here to stay. So it's one of those changes that I think we need to get used to. We need to embrace it, and we need to make it and enhance it and make this a smart street that everybody can enjoy. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dr. Terrell.
Yes, sir. The road diet. Being born and raised here, there was no road diet. You can cruise through Dixieland pretty well, because it was a 4-lane in addition to the middle lanes that you could turn, which made it a 5-laner. But when the road diet was in place, I noticed that vehicles were having trouble turning past the barriers, which messed up their tires, rims, and axles. And I was totally against it. But if the Department of Transportation is going to implement the road barriers, which I can understand the purpose of it regarding the businesses, and anything happened to that business, if a car jumped the sidewalk and damaged that business, I can understand the safety mechanism. But the barriers, if they're going to implement it, they need to narrow them where it's conducive to the vehicles. And they need to make some major adjustments where it's easier for the drivers and traffic to flow through. Because between the peak times of 3:30, 5:30, it's very congested. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Frankenberger.
Yeah, the worst thing any of us can do is to not try something. If it doesn't succeed, then you revert back, or you go to what was successful. For trying something safe, or what presumably was safer in the road diet area of Dixieland, okay, so it's not working. They're looking at the businesses going up and down Florida Avenue in Dixieland, and how their parking is set up in the back. The city can look at other areas possibly to help them out with some more the parking or entrances into their businesses from the backside. They're going to have a road in front of them with a limited sidewalk. It's just the nature of the growth of Lakeland. So now, how many businesses really use those sidewalks out front? I know of one that does, but the rest of them, most everybody is entering from the back of those businesses. So yes, I'm a fan of. I'm glad we tried it. Let's get rid of it. It's not something that's successful, but we do need to support a safe environment in the backside of those buildings to allow for the shoppers and whoever's going into that area for the art community to enjoy that space. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Next question. What additional infrastructure concerns do you see in the city and how should they be addressed? Mr. Post, you get to go first.
Infrastructure in the city.
Yes, sir.
So along with the South Florida road diet, we need to develop other roads that get us from north to south in a timely manner. We do have 98, we have Hardin Boulevard. I know we're going to increase Wabash, but it might be something we want to look at to figure out additional routes that we can get north and south. We still need to work a little bit on the east and west as well. Anyone that travels Edgewood in the afternoon knows that Edgewood is very crowded going from east to west, and Lake Miriam as well, all the way down at the south. So something needs to be done for our roads to enhance the roads and make them easier to travel. The other infrastructure I think we need to really focus on is our electric company. We need to enhance how we are producing electric and look at possible adding solar panels. Some of the many warehouses that we have, adding solar panels to those roofs would give us additional power throughout the entire day. Up in the Northeast, that's something that they do on many of the warehouses because land is very limited. So why take our land and turn them into solar fields when we can use those warehouse roofs and negotiate some kind of agreement with those companies to put additional power. And then moving towards electric, I think we need to really look at electric vehicles and how we embrace that whole new technology, and as a city, how we support that with charging stations and the various things that are needed. I know that the electric company and the City of Lakeland has already made a commitment to start changing their vehicles to electric vehicles. And I think that is the future. And from everything I read, within 20
years.
Thank you, Mr.
Post.
Yep.
Thank you. Dr. Terrell.
Yes, the infrastructure concerns within the city of Lakeland, we have really good roads. Majority of those roads are landlocked, so we cannot expand to a wider lane road. So we just have to make sure we have the upkeep of repaving those roads, breaking them down and repaving them, making sure we have a smoother transition throughout the city of Lakeland to make sure it's conducive and safe for the drivers. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Frankenberger.
Yeah, we kind of hit on it earlier with the internet, having good quality internet, and that's part of our infrastructure, whether, again, it's private or public service. And then, transportation, making sure we can move our community through the city. I know Citrus Connection is not part of the city right now. We've had a meeting with them, kind of talked a little bit about that. But there's other things we can do with transportation in the city, opening up access, especially in our downtown area from Bonnet Springs. It's going to open soon, moving people through, people that come visit us. And then the roads, we do have pretty good roads, and that part of the infrastructure is going well. And now the sewage and how we move from new developments being built. I know that they've already ran a huge sewage line over to the Glendale plant to cover a lot of the southwest area of Lakeland. And there'll be more of that coming. And we've got to make sure that our water treatment plant is ready for that. And the capacity that we're currently today, they are. But as new businesses are grown, and having the proper electric and water and waste is very, very important. Need to be looking at all that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Musick.
All right, so infrastructure, right? We've got to move waste, water, power, and people. Not exactly in that order, but that's what we've got to do. The interesting thing is that when we ask that question, it really should be paired, in my opinion, with the growth and development question that we ask, because we can't be for a stronger infrastructure and yet want to in the same sentence say, well, I don't want growth and I don't want that. They're very tightly tied, one and the same. Certainly right now, I think we've got excellent roads. The engineering department, right, they're planning 25 years out. We're looking at growth projections, and we've got roads. We've got Wabash that's going to come down and connect over by Lakeside Village. There's a lot of things that are awesome that are in the works right now. So what we're going to have to decide moving forward is, where do we want that development? Where do we want to push the roads, water, sewer, waste, power? And how do we want to fund that? And that's ultimately going to be one of the big concerns that I have with road construction and maintenance, a lot of that being tied to our gasoline tax. And with the increase in electric vehicles, we're going to end up having a shortage of funds. So we're really going to have to address that. So I think it's the funding questions that are going to be strong for this board and commission moving forward, not so much what are we going to do, because I think those are good directions that we have, but budget's going to be important. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next question, how will you engage the public? Specifically, will you wait for the public to contact you, or how will you go about reaching them? And Dr. Terrell, you get to go first.
Yes, I will engage the public by posting information on social media, trying to get that information out as soon as possible. Then I will try to meet with the neighborhood association chairperson to see, once the following the CDC guidelines through COVID, seeing if I can have a face-to-face conversation with them to let them know what was discussed, what can be done, what can we do as a city commission to make sure we enhance their quality of life. I prefer face-to-face interaction with the residents, because it's very important to me, and it's personal, and then you'll get a better response than just sending a question or a statement on social media. So I would communicate the neighborhood association administration to see if I can meet with the residents there when they have a concern. Thank you.
All right, Frankenberger.
Yeah, so interacting, we have citizens interacting with government. So trying to reach out, or having folks have a responsibility, a civic responsibility to reach out to their local government and say, hey, this is an issue we have, or this is something I want to talk about. I'm a big fan of open door policy. I want somebody to be able to call me, contact me, text me, email me, whatever they may do. Now, if I want to reach out to folks, doing survey questions or asking is always a great option. But again, it's that civic responsibility. Are people going to respond to that? Another thing that's very popular through a lot of the websites we go to when we want to buy something, we want to hear about it, they do online chat. Somebody will pop up and say, hey, I'm Tony, you want to chat with me about something? Maybe that's something we should look at through our lakeland.gov to get people to interact just by shooting a quick text, email, through an online chat forum, whether it's through the website or another avenue. But definitely getting people involved will make the changes that they want, and it'll teach us as city elected officials, what the vibe is in the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Musick.
All right, so the question was, how will I specifically engage the people as a city commissioner? So let's just take a look at the question. Engage. How do we get engaged? So there's a lot of ways that you can go out and you can reach, you can talk to people, but we're talking about the word engage. When my wife and I got engaged, right? I didn't do it through a poll. I didn't do it on email. I didn't send her a letter. I did it in person. And I commend Dr. Terrell, because every time we're asked this question, that's exactly what he says. And I agree with him. I've got to get out where the people are. I've got to do it in person. I'm an Enneagram 7. I love people. I love being out and in front of people. So that's what it takes. It takes getting in front of the people, getting the and Steve's right. We can engage all we want, but it's got to be reciprocal, right? We can get out there and we can be in front of people. We can talk all day long, but there is a civic responsibility where they've got to come back and do it. But I can't worry about what they're going to do. What I can do is what I can do, and that is I can get out to the people. I can engage. I can be where they are. We have community organizations all over the place. We've got neighborhood organizations, and that's what we've got to do. Is in order for them to trust us that we're going to represent them and be transparent, we've got to be where they are, and we've got to look them in the eyes so that they know that we're either being honest with them or we're pulling the wool over their eyes. And I want to be honest, and I want to be in front of them, and that's what I'll do.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, just to give you a heads up, this next question's a little bit longer. The City of Lakeland.
Mr. Post didn't get to answer.
Oh, he did not. Okay. Mr. Post, sorry.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. I was raising my hand, but I guess you can't see us. So engagement, availability. I think that is the biggest piece, that we need to be available. One of the things I've been doing is making myself available. I spend time around downtown area, talking, engaging with people, driving around, having people flag me down and answering their questions and concerns. That's something that we need to do as a commission. That's something we need to do in our servanthood. This is service. We're providing service to the citizens of Lakeland. One of the things I think as a city, to increase that engagement, we need to really enhance the surveys. So the city started a survey system back in 2017, 18, and 19. The numbers have gone down each year. So in 2017, we had 6,700 people respond. 2018, about 5,500. 2019, 4,600. So we need to look at that and say, all right, how can we get our residents to take this survey and really give us back their input? Because these surveys are what the city is using to make major decisions about how things are going to go around the city. So we need to entice, I would say, or somehow get our residents to really take the survey seriously. It's open for a month every year, and I'm not sure how many of my counterparts took the survey the last 3 years, but I've taken it every year. Even when I was up in New Jersey, I would take the survey because I was getting electric bill every month, so I would be engaged. So that's one of the things I think we need to work on, is that back and forth engagement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I apologize for that. Okay, so next question. The City of Lakeland has over 2,000 retired employees. In 2003, city management took away the cost of living increases that were in the city pension rules. In the past 18 years, retirees have only received one small cost of living increase. The City of Lakeland Association of Retirees has requested that the city bring in an unbiased, neutral consultant to examine the pension topic. What's your all's position on this? Mr. Frankenberger.
Okay, so the retirement pension, our city, the pension plan means a tremendous purpose of working for the city, retaining good quality people. Our city employees don't pay the taxes we pay for Social Security. They can't get some of these benefits that we may get. So their pension is their retirement. Cost of living, if however you see that, if the cost of living did go up or not go up, it would determine that a lot. So yes, I know they have a current board on the volunteer board for the city's pension plan, and the city needs to work with everyone to make sure that that pension plan looks good, looks enticing, and keeps people in good quality, trained, educated folks that are on this pension plan. Keep them working with the city. Don't let them move to another area. Again, a part of that whole thing of going about retaining people, you've got to offer some of these benefits. Sure, it's going to cost some money, but it's just part of doing business. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Musick.
Yeah, so if we're talking about existing retirees on an existing plan, what I don't like is people changing the rules halfway through something was done. So anyone that was involved in a retirement package or plan prior to their retirement, I believe that should be honored. To echo Steve a little bit, listen, if we're gonna try to get people coming here, we've had questions on employment and bringing strong businesses here. If we're talking about our infrastructure staff, right, our city employees, if we're going to hire the best we can, then we need to be upfront with them. We need to be honest with them, and then we need to do what we say we're going to do. So if there's a package that they're involved in, I honestly, as a self-employed person, I've never had the benefit of being involved in those kind of pensions. But I understand them enough, and I understand honesty. So I think that if we are changing midstream, we need to correct that, and we need to move forward with honesty and integrity, and do what we have to do. And it's going to be difficult, because as people retire, and especially as some of them retire earlier and are on that plan for a longer period of time, there could certainly be some deficit issues that we've got to be careful that we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. But let's be honest and upfront with them.
All right, thank you. Mr. Post.
So the pension plan was modified in 2003, and they have not received the cost of living increase since that time. Is that what you're?
Only one increase.
One, okay. Well, then I would agree that an outside neutral board should be brought in to evaluate this and to see if the decision that was made was proper, and if it was not proper, then something should be done for these retired employees who served the city for many years. We should honor them and respect that they served our city for years, and we should be looking at that as a positive thing. So I would support an outside group coming in to evaluate it.
Thank you. Dr. Terrell.
Yes, with the pension plan, I believe that the city of Lakeland need to analyze it, or get an outside agency to analyze that, because the cost of living go up. And I know with the retirees that retired at that certain time, the prices go up, but their wage is pretty much low comparison to the prices. So I believe that someone need to analyze, or agency need to analyze that issue and concern to adjust the funding for the pension for the retired employees within the city of Lakeland.
All right, thank you very much. Next question, the hospital lease agreement, terminating the lease agreement and the upfront payment. There's been a lot of discussions in the community. There's been discussions relative to the level, or maybe lack of the level of public outreach in that decision-making process. Would like for each of you to share your thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic for sure, because what we're doing is we're discussing something that has already happened, that was outside of our hands because none of us were commissioners. But how would we answer that had we been in that hot seat? Unfortunately, from my position, I don't have all of the information that they would have seen. I know that, having spoke with Mike Brozart, spoke with individuals that I know that are on the hospital board, talked with some other individuals. This was something that we talk about and has been talked about for a long, long time. So is it a good deal? I think probably, had I all the information that they had, knowing what's going to come up with the lease in 2040 and what we would have had an issue with there, with the requirements of some of those funds, if not all those funds, to be required to not go into our pocket, but into a fund for indigent care, I probably would have made the same decision. What I would have liked to have seen, and what I harp on all the time, is transparency. We've got to get out there. We've got to have all the information available, and we need to, as citizens, know what they know the best that we can. And so when a decision is made, it's a decision that we can look at and not put our hands up in the air and say, well, I didn't know, or I didn't, not liking it or not liking it is okay. But having the facts ahead of time to help us as a citizen group make the right decision is important.
All right, Mr. Post.
So can you repeat the question? I'm not sure what your question is regards to the hospital.
So there's been a lot of discussion about the hospital lease agreement, which terminated the ongoing annual lease payments and resulted in basically a buyout amount.
Yeah.
There's been talk about the level of maybe public meetings or engagement associated with that process. What's your thoughts on the overall issue?
Okay, so I know this topic was undiscussed for about 10 years or so, and trying to figure out how they could manage this and make it work. They had 3 different options on the table from what I understand. And as everyone evaluated it, they felt that this was the best option for both parties. From my perspective, it seems like a better agreement for the hospital because they did get a huge reduction in what they would have paid over time. So I think right now what we need to do is focus on how are we going to use that money and put it into a secure vehicle so that that money can do what the hospital money was doing prior. So that we have that $12, $14 million a year for different projects and different capital improvement plans. So I think that's what we need to focus on right now is how are we going to use that $215 million and where are we going to put that? And is it going to be done in a way that the current commission or the new commission sets it up so that future commissioners cannot take it or change how that money is kept? I think those are the questions we need to be asking right now. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Terrell.
Yes, when the city commission voted on approving that budget, there had to be some type of language there in order for them to approve it. I can honestly say I really didn't like it at the beginning, but again, to be in that seat and understand what they saw, I possibly would have did the same thing too. I'm just hoping that those funds will be set aside into some type of account that can build up dividends over the years with a high interest, so the money can draw some high interest to reinvest itself for the city of Lakeland. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Steve, you want to add something real quick?
I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go? I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
That's fine. Yeah. So our hospital, well, the state of Florida is seeing unheard of growth and competition in hospitals. Orlando Health will be building a big facility over the years out off Lakeland Highlands Road and the Polk Parkway. The Veterans Hospital is coming in that same general area. Advent Health looking at a place over near Polytechnic, some land there. So our hospital is getting into competition that they hadn't seen before by the state government allowing for more of this competition. So our not-for-profit hospital is going to be competing with for-profit hospitals. Again, as everyone has already, they've talked about how we weren't part of that to decide how we would have voted on it without seeing the numbers, without experiencing what they experienced as a commission. Now, the buyout of $215 million by the end of this year, I believe we'll have those funds. As Mr. Post said, those are going to be those assets need to be in some kind of a secured area where we can generate some income from that, and whatever the city has planned for it. I don't know at this point. I haven't heard. And again, that transparency of how we don't know is a little disturbing. But I think it was the hospital decision, looking from the outside in, was something that probably was going to need to be done anyways. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your engaging answers to the question. It's been a pleasure having each of you provide your individual perspectives. At this point, we'd like to provide an opportunity for each of you to provide a 90-second closing remarks, and we will start with Dr. Terrell, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank you very much for this opportunity, City of Lakeland Chamber of Commerce, and just hoping that I'll earn your vote on Tuesday, April 6th. We are born and raised here, served on several boards and committees here. Just want to serve the community that I grew up in. And I thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Post.
I want to thank you for your time and the opportunity to share with the business community some of our ideas and some of our thoughts and hopes and dreams for the city of Lakeland. I think what we have here is a great opportunity. We just went through this year of COVID, and we all took a pause and we stepped back and said, all right, now where are we going? We have the opportunity now to look ahead and say, all right, let's make those decisions that are going to enhance the city, enhance the quality of life for all of our citizens throughout all of the city. And this is a great opportunity for us to really evaluate what is the best way to do that. And I thank you again for your time.
Mr. Frankenberger.
Yes, thank you all very much. I'm deeply committed to this community. I just so much been involved with every aspect and what's been happening over the past 36 years I've been here. I'd like to tell you that, my mission is to just make responsible decisions for the businesses, the residents, our environment, our art community, to support growth in a responsible way. One thing I'd like for everybody to know too is this city commission seat is a nonpartisan seat. As you think about who you're voting for, think about a candidate that is going to look at all those levels of being fiscally responsible or taking care of our environment. I'm going to listen to all the residents of Lakeland. I'm going to listen to everything everybody has to say. Partisan politics has no place in the city of Lakeland. And we'll leave that for Washington. So let's continue our city in a great progressive growth into the future. And let's hope that we can continue on a path that people will enjoy this place. People will enjoy raising their families here. We'll have great environments for everybody to enjoy, and that our residential prosperity, our business prosperity will succeed as we grow into that. Thank you very much. And I hope I've earned your vote for April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Musick.
Hey, thank you again for this opportunity. It's been great to get to know the other candidates. We certainly have 4 individuals that have shown that they love the city. Like Steve said, it's a nonpartisan seat, but make no mistake about it, the 4 candidates are different, and their experience and their ideology matter, because when the decisions come up, where they sit, what their ideology is going to matter. I am a conservative business owner, been doing that my entire working life. We need to continue to grow. We need to do it wisely. We need strong leaders, and we need people who are willing to stand up and say, hold on, this just doesn't sound right. We can't be in a position where we give money just to give money, but yet we need to continue to be a city that loves its residents like we do. And that goes from our homeless shelters all the way to the expensive homes and the great neighborhoods that we have. It's important that we honor our citizens by being transparent, but it is important that we stand up, we take a spot, and we say, I will help you. I will die on this mountain because it's important. The city of Lakeland is an awesome place to live. It's a great place to raise our kids. And I want to make sure that the people that come behind me are proud of the decisions that I made as your city commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. At this point, I'd like to conclude by expressing the appreciation of our chamber investors and thank the candidates, the business community, and residents for their participation in today's forum. As a friendly reminder, all registered voters residing in the city limits of Lakeland are eligible to vote on April 6th. So all residents who are voters can vote. Although vote by mail has closed, you still have 2 ways to vote. There's early walk-in voting available Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 from March 29th to April 5th, excluding Saturday and Sunday. On election day, you can also vote, obviously, and polling locations will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And for more information, please visit www.polkelections.com. Once again, we thank the candidates. We know that this is an incredible amount of personal investment. We know only one of you will win, but we've all seen how much effort, love that you have poured into this effort. And so thank you for caring for your community, and wish everyone a great afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.